How to build an accessibility champions program at your organization.
My name is Amber Knobel, and I am accessibility strategist here at Fable. Today, we're going to be talking about finding and building up your accessibility champions programs. There's no one size fits all, and I know you'll offer some interesting perspectives of your current structure and previous structures. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about the three most important steps to actually creating space for a champions program.
So my first bit of advice is to start small. Since I've been doing this, I tend to start with a small initiative like something called office hours. These tend to be 1-hour sessions. I kind of indirectly referred to it earlier, that are informal calls where folks can come ask questions to experts. They're low effort to set up. No one really needs to approve these to get started. You can cater them to various audiences if you have to, maybe some for designers or developers or maybe non-technical folks. And I find the non-structured office hours tend to create the best flow for people to pop in and build conversation. They also really help encourage people to stop by and listen in to hear what others are talking about if they don't have a question and they just want to listen and learn. Again, you're building that community. It also helps me scale so that as things start to grow, I can funnel questions into those office hours rather than having people emailing me or setting up meetings. So it saves time for me and my team as more people want to continue their journey. These office hours let me hear what's working and what's not working. It helps me build rapport with folks. It helps us start to get ideas about innovations and pilots or things, small wins to celebrate, because we know in accessibility, it's a slow journey. So we have to celebrate these small wins. Second thing is provide a space for conversation and curiosity that can be in office hours, but as a secondary function. I think Amber and Kosh, y'all were talking about this, a safe space. In addition to that, like a Slack or a Teams channel, maybe an email distribution group, depending on your resources. Again, we're focusing on community where we're all growing together. And this allows for asynchronous learning or sharing when you can't have your office hours. And it's accessible for folks who might not be comfortable to join office hours or can't for any reason. And lastly, don't forget maintainability. Whatever you build for your champ or your community, you have to maintain. So ensure you think through that circular maintenance process. So if you create a full-fledged, like beautiful champion program with training and wikis and recognitions, dashboard metrics, newsletters, and more, you have to maintain all of that. So it's easier, like I said before, to add to your program over time than take away or have things fall off and people burn out.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Also, what you touched on about making sure that you're paying attention to what's working and what's not along the way, right? You don't want to, put this structure in front of folks without actually knowing if that's what's going to move the needle
Yeah.
for teams.
The three things that I want to mention, I'll come from a co-creation perspective. So number one, when you're putting together a vision for your champions group, I think it's really important to think about how it creates contextual value to the business. So, that vision has to speak to your leadership, has to speak to the managers who have to then let the folks on their team carve out some time in their quarter, in their very busy quarters. So, building that value into the vision is really important. The second thing I would say is building that value for individuals. People love being a part of something that's impactful, that's meaningful. We've already covered that. And so how do you share that? How do you make sure people are excited? You're essentially doing change management work. You're trying to add something of extreme value while also showing people that it's going to be a journey that starts at a seedling level. How do you make sure everyone remains excited? So, what are the individual values? And the third thing, again, people focused. Identify your partners and promoters. These are folks who will either brainstorm with you, or they're folks that are in the rooms and in the settings that you cannot be in. So who are those people and how do you work with them? How do you make sure they're a part of your journey? So everything that Jen mentioned and all of these folks that you have to think about and all these nuances in your vision, I think would really set you up for success.
What sparked your interest to really get your programs up and running, or perhaps they were existing and you came in and made some tweaks?
And very recently, I learned that there is research done to understand how much it costs to do proactive fixes versus reactive fixes.
Yep.
And the number that I heard is reactive fixes, the things that happen after something's already live, is 10 times the
Yep.
cost of doing something that is fixable right at the beginning. And I think that's just, I think that blew my mind. And that is a tangential benefit and also just a great way to sell this to your business, right?
I also wanted to talk about the $13 trillion global market share. Like, marketing and sales folks will turn themselves into pretzels looking for untapped market share, but we've got folks here that are just waiting for accessible experiences. And then when you reach them and deliver, they stick around. And then if you hire folks with disabilities, the amount of innovation you get for your teams is just insurmountable. To really succeed long term, we need to shift our focus from this kind of one-man band to thinking like we're a symphony where everyone has a role and a unique part to play. And when everyone's doing their part, it comes together in this beautiful concert. We need that community of people at all levels and in every role with all these different types of knowledge.
Logo. Fable.